Hi, Chris Barr here with Palm Beach Feng Shui, and today I want to talk about flying stars and flying star feng shui. Last week I sent out an email to my e-zine subscribers, and one of the things that I asked them was, for my upcoming 2010 predictions webinar, what would you like to hear about most, or what would you like to see me talk about in the webinar? Well, one of the questions that came up was, well, what are flying stars and what do they have to do with me and my life? So I want to talk about how flying stars affect you and talk about the flying stars for this year, 2009, and show how each of these stars have affected different areas, possibly of your life, but also the life of the planet, people on the planet, because it's not just limited to you and your space. It's actually consumes everyone on the planet and the way the energy falls this year. So in Feng Shui, we have something called the Bagua, and it looks like a tic-tac-toe symbol. So this is our Feng Shui blueprint. We always use this when we're setting up a Feng Shui plan or looking at the Feng Shui of somebody's home or office. Now, in the Bagua, the directions they look upside down. North is at the bottom, south is at the top, east is on the left, and west is on the right. And there's a reason for that. It's because of the way the elements are set up, but we're not going to go into that today. I just want to talk about the flying stars. So when I talk about south being at the top, you'll know why, because the directions are backward on the Bagua from what we're used to looking at on a map. So let's start with the flying star that we have sitting in the northwest for the year. This year we have the Star of New Beginnings sitting in the northwest. Well, the northwest, among other things, is representative of big metal. Well, what are some industries that represent big metal? The car industry, right? So what have we seen? The industry that we've seen start over, so to speak, is the auto industry here in the United States. Ford, GM, Chrysler, they all went through a crisis this year that caused them to have to press the reset button. It's a do-over, it's starting over, a new beginning. And then like Ford, they just decided to go through reorganization, but it's all about starting over. So that's what the Star of New Beginnings has represented this year for that particular industry. And you may have even seen this in your own life, because it can bring new people into your life, whether it's new clients, new friends, new member of the family. All of this is about new beginnings. The number 5 star, which is the disaster star, has been sitting in the north this year. And the way this particular star has played out is mainly through employment, because the north represents career. And we've seen a lot of disaster when it comes to people's careers this year. A lot of people have lost their jobs. We have record unemployment here in the United States, but it's not just limited to the United States. If you read the international news and some of the stories coming across the wires that way, you'll see that unemployment is a big factor in a lot of other countries around the world. So this star is exuding its energy on people through their careers, and it's not particularly pleasant. The next star is the conflict star, and the conflict star sits on the area of decision making and also on education. Well, our country here in the United States, this year the government has been making decisions that some people are not particularly happy with, including the stimulus package, healthcare reform. There are a lot of people who want healthcare reform, but they're not happy about the way that it's being presented at the moment. So there's a lot of anger about that. There's also anger about sending troops, the decision to send troops to Afghanistan, additional troops over there. And again, the United States isn't the only country facing these challenges. There are other countries that are too looking at problems that are facing their country, and the governments are not making decisions that are popular with the people. But because this area is also education, we've also seen a lot more uprising on college campuses, again, here and around the world. This isn't just limited to the United States. Here in the United States, students were protesting earlier in the year because their favorite classes were being cut, and they weren't able to get the classes they needed to finish their program. There have also been complaints about the fact that tuition is going up across college campuses. So that's where we've seen the conflict star come into play on education and decision making. The number 7 star sits in the east, and the east represents family, and it also represents health and it represents government. Well, this star is the robbery star. It's a star of robbery, and it's also the star of violence. And this year we've seen that the government has implemented a lot of programs that have cost people money, robbed them of their wealth. So that's how the robbery star plays out. It takes money from you, either through violent means or through increased expenses that your income can't keep up with, or unexpected expenses that you weren't expecting to cover, or people asking for money that you just don't have to give to them. That's how this robbery star works. But we've also seen it play out the violent side, the violence on families, and we've seen a lot more families this year having experienced death. One member of the family shoots the rest of the family and then shoots themselves. We've seen a lot of men involved in that, killing their families and then killing themselves. So this is the violence that we've seen on families. In addition to that, we've seen an increase of robberies, people being robbed, armed robbery in their homes. The other star that we've seen at play is the long-term abundance star. The long-term abundance star sits on the area of wealth and banking. Well, this star can also bring about long-term contracts and investments. And where has a lot of the bailout money gone? It's gone to bail out the banking system, which is what the Southeast is all about, money and banking. So, we're probably in it for the long haul and helping these banks out. Some of them have repaid their money, some have not. But then there's also a bill sitting on President Obama's desk right now that will allow him to bail out the top 20 to 25 companies that are in trouble in the United States whenever he wants with taxpayer money without congressional approval. So something like that, if he were to sign it into office, sign it into law, would be part of this long-term contract. So if you pay attention to what's happening in the news, you'll see these flying stars are exerting their energy in specific areas this year. And again, it's not just the United States. Other countries are dealing with banking issues as well, and they're bailing out their banking system. South America is doing a lot of that. Europe. Just pick up the newspaper and you can read that it's happening all over the world, not just here. The number 4 star is all about relationships, and it sits in the area of fame and recognition. So we've seen the way this star has played out recently, because in the news, the way we've seen this is that it's famous people and their relationships with their audience and their sponsors. One of the most recent ones was Oprah Winfrey. She came out and said that she's going to end her show in 2011. And a lot of her fans are upset about that. They don't want her show to go away, but neither do her sponsors, because she brings them a lot of money. Another one is Tiger Woods. His news about his multiple mistresses has made his fans unhappy, and it's also made his sponsors unhappy. So it's relationships for famous people. But it can also be you getting fame and recognition in your specific area through either a reward, an award, promotion, recognition at work, a ribbon, anything like that. You could have received an award this year, especially if the South is one of your personal best directions. So that's the one good thing about Feng Shui that's different from astrology and tarot and numerology and palm reading, is the flying stars tell you what possibilities exist, but it also tells you what you can do to help trigger the positive stars and what you can do to neutralize the negative stars. So that's one of the reasons I like Feng Shui so much, is there are solutions and answers and ways to support what you want in life using Feng Shui Flying Stars. So I hope that's been helpful, and I look forward to telling you more about my Feng Shui Flying Star outlook for 2010. It's coming up mid-January, about the 19th. Because the new Feng Shui year begins in February. So I want to give you some lead time on that. If you go to my website, palmbeachfengshui.com, you'll be able to go right there and download a free ebook, Secrets of Feng Shui and Dowsing Revealed. And as soon as you do that, you'll automatically get on the list to be notified about my Feng Shui Predictions webinar coming up in January. I look forward to seeing you then. Thanks, bye.